what might be another call to here, which is apparently all the Antarctica segment has turned into. We have another Nephilim update.
Oops, sorry. Stepped on you a little bit.
Nephilim update. Nephilim update.
Yeah, so part of what we've been talking about is the tourism industry, how that's being used as a tool for the furthering of the Antarctica plan into the New World Order, and how cruise ships are a big part of this. Mm-hmm. We've been talking about Viking, the Viking cruise lines and their sort of scientific, it's weird. You'll see here. So mixing tourism with adventure tourism, and now scientific tourism, something we pointed out. And why would we point it out? Why don't we just let Viking expeditions tell us what's going on? The headline here at cruiseindustrynews.com, your source for cruise industry news. Number 1 in industry reporting. Headline, Viking expedition team publishes first scientific paper.
All right. Some progress.
Yes. So this is
fruit.
real science.
Yes.
They went on vacation and they published a scientific paper. If that does not tell you everything you need to know about our scientific establishment, I don't know what to tell you. The Viking expedition team has published the company's first scientific paper from the inaugural Antarctica season, according to a press release. Quote, in creating the Thinking Person's Expedition. It was our intention, by the way, this is a cruise line. This is a cruise line. When they say expedition, this is all marketing and language, PR for vacation. So what they wanted to do is create an adventure vacation where you can feel like you're doing science. So that's what the when they say the Viking expedition team has published the company's first scientific paper, they mean a bunch of people who paid money to go on a cruise got their names on a paper.
Doesn't it also imply that the thinking person's expedition, to claim that is to suggest that all other expeditions are for the sheeple, the non-thinking people?
The word expedition itself is just marketing because it's a cruise. You're on a thinking person's vacation is what you're doing. Not on an expedition. It's marketed as an expedition so you can feel like a scientist or like Sir Ernest Shackleton. In creating, by the way, I want very badly to go on one of these. So no shade on Viking Cruise Lines. If you would like to comp me a ticket, I would happily start saying nice things about your Viking expedition. See, people, and that's why we will never take advertising because apparently it's a very cheap sort of limit as to what it would take for me to say nice things about Viking cruises. In creating the Thinking Person's Expedition, it was our intention that every voyage should provide opportunities for scientific discovery, said Torsten Hagen, chairman of Viking. Quote, at the core of Viking expeditions is the goal to do meaningful scientific work. After just one full season in service, we are pleased that our expedition vessels, our cruise ships, and scientists, our customers on vacation, have already contributed to research that might not have been possible otherwise. We look forward to providing critical research opportunities on future voyages. The paper contains observations of the rarely encountered Scyphozoan Stygiomedusa gigantea, also known as the giant phantom jellyfish, that the expedition team encountered during submersible dives, scuba diving classes,
as opposed to okay, continue.
Yeah. This was one of the what do they call them? Excursions. You go to the excursion desk and you pay $200 to take a ride in a submarine, and they saw a big jellyfish. It's very impressive. Submersible dives in the coastal waters of Antarctic Peninsula in 2022. There have been only 126 encounters with the giant phantom jellyfish ever recorded since the species was first described in 1910. During the inaugural season in Antarctica in 2022, the Vikings team observed the giant phantom jellyfish 3 times. Wow. So out of 126 sightings in history, this one cruise saw it 3 times. That's pretty interesting. Thanks to the submersibles deployed from Vikings expedition ship, the Viking Octantis. Wow. The team documented these encounters through stills and video photography. Yeah,
stills.
Cell phones.
I like how they say stills, like it's not your iPhone camera.
They were people with an iPhone and a little.
Let me take a still of that creature.
Have you ever been in a little submarine?
I think I was on a submarine at Disneyland.
Yes.
Nemo's Adventure or something.
Well, this is very similar. This is very actually extraordinarily similar to what these are. I've been on one of these little tourist submarines. They're pretty fun. But yes, you are just sitting there with an iPhone looking out the window. The paper was authored by Viking's chief scientist with contributions from the submersible teams. It describes how personal submersibles, like the ones on Viking Octantis and Viking Polaris, can provide opportunities for biological research in polar regions. Man, do I want to go on one of these cruises.
I like how the sighting is considered a biological research. So if it wasn't scientists in there, just normal people, it wouldn't be considered biological research, right? It's just because there's scientists there. People.
There's no scientists there. I mean, maybe there's a scientist in the cockpit or with a megaphone or something, kind of entertaining the guests. But no, remember, this is a tourist submersible. I'll give it. They probably had a scientist in there going, and if you look to your left, you can see more water and an iceberg. And oh my goodness, it's the phantom jellyfish. And it's probably Dale from, who works in the engine room, they dress him up as a jellyfish and put some big tentacles on him and has to go swim around in the freezing water for 3 hours while the look at him go. And Dale's like, he's getting an extra ration at the shrimp buffet for volunteering.
He starts choking on his own costume.
Yeah.
Looks like he's really struggling in there.
Oh no. Well, you're one of the look at that. Oh, we've seen him. Did you know, folks, that the phantom jellyfish has only been seen 126 times in the history of humanity? Whoa, and we've seen him 3 times today. There he goes. We've named this one Dale. Oh, Dale's going up for water. Yes, going up for air. That's totally normal. The lead author, Dr. Daniel Moore, said, "It is extraordinary that we know so little about such large marine creatures as the giant phantom jellyfish. However, now we have the means to make regular observations at greater depth than previously possible, which provides an exciting opportunity for discovery." The paper is published in Polar Research, the scientific journal of the Norwegian Polar Institute, and can be read here. Okay. So a scientific paper that says, we saw a jellyfish.
We saw a jellyfish. Wouldn't you take a sample or something, a stool sample or ink sample, something, if you want to do some real science and do some biology?
Really, really not sure. Wow, you can go check this. They have a download counter for this polarresearch.net. And this has been downloaded 419 times this month.
Oh.
It's popping off. Yeah, so there you go. Now, how does this fit in? Well, this fits in because, of course, Antarctica is used as a sort of a puppet geography, where since it is so remote and it is so sparsely populated and has such high degree of friction getting down there, that we've seen Antarctica be used and abused for scientific purposes. Not that people are blowing it up or something necessarily, although that has happened and will happen again, but that it almost does not matter whether good science is being done or not in Antarctica. It's not about the science. It's about the messaging that can be communicated. And we saw this right when, at the beginning of 2022, end of 2021, when cruise lines basically decided altogether that Antarctica is the next great frontier in cruising, and it's done under adventure or scientific tourism. And this is a pretty good draw. This is good PR. If you go on a vacation, go on the submarine excursion, and you can call yourself a scientist.
Well, you get to kill two birds with one stone. You get to tap into the tourist market, but also if you look at this abstract from the paper here, it talks about how waters below 50 meters remain underexplored on the account of difficulty of access, financial barriers, and relatively few operational platforms capable of deploying to such depth.
Status symbol.
Yes, so literally the funding they can get great PR. We'd like to study more about these giant octopus or other creatures yet to be discovered. It's great, a great pitch to get some more money for the cruise line there. The Viking cruise line.
Exactly. And the tourism, is a status symbol because it is still quite expensive to go to Antarctica in any form or fashion. We saw the status symbol
celebrities
reinforced, with the celebrity cruise that we covered, I think, last episode. And so, this is a great example where you can pay a bunch of money, feel like a scientist, and get to be one of the puppeteers of the use of the geographical puppet that is Antarctica, which then, what was the organization? There's an organization, I believe it was the Bob Swan organization, where their goal is to bring people to Antarctica to make them Antarctic ambassadors. And they claimed that anyone who goes to Antarctica becomes an Antarctic ambassador and a representative of the scientific sort of narrative that Antarctica is melting and climate change and humans bad, and you go home and you passionately make this, the thing that you talk about at dinner parties every single time, and you become the annoying Antarctica guy because you're sort of you've been knighted almost as an Antarctic ambassador.
You become an ambassador, right?
Yeah, it's a broad. That was like a story last year, I think, at some time. I wish I could remember what the organization was, but that was kind of the whole point. We want to get as many people down there so they can become the mouthpiece of what is basically the Antarctic conspiracy, which is takes and manipulates the science and even angers Antarctic scientists. So Viking expeditions, call me. I want to go. I want to see Dale dressed up like a squid. I want to be a scientist.
You're not convinced, huh? You think that's just Dale?
I think it's Dale, but I got to see it to believe it.
Risk your life to see Dale in a costume.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Good use of your time, energy, effort, and life.